Hey, what's going on guys, Kris here with another Battlefield 5 weapon guide for you today. And in this one we're going to be checking out a pretty unique looking Japanese light machine gun, the Type 97 for the support class. So despite being slotted into the LMG category in the game, the Type 97 was actually a pretty hefty machine, typically used on Japanese tanks and armoured vehicles during World War II, rather than being slogged around by foot soldiers, like a traditional light machine gun would be. Its design was inspired by a Czechoslovakian weapon called the ZB26, which was actually the same LMG that influenced the Bren gun's design, sharing quite a few of the same features, and with modifications and further development, the Type 97 was made in the late 1930s. It was mechanically a very similar sort of weapon to the Czech ZB26, having a few different features, such as a stock and pistol grip for added support when firing. It even used the same ammo and magazines up until about 1940, when it was altered to fire the 7.7mm Arasaka cartridge, so the same one used by the Type 99 rifle. And these would have been housed within straight 20 round box magazines, which stuck out of the top side of the Type 97's receiver. When the weapon was first put into service with the Imperial Japanese Army in 1937, it was primarily mounted on vehicles up until the war's end, being classified as a heavy tank machine gun, though it was still used as a standalone infantry gun in some cases, which wasn't very common because of its weight and because it was a bit awkward to cart around. But when the Type 97 was used as an infantry weapon, it was typically set up with a bipod, often used from stationary positions. Vehicle-mounted Type 97s usually had their own telescopic sight attachment, with a fixed focus of 1.5 times and a 30-degree field of view. These optics would have given the user much better precision than other typical tank guns, which often just used traces to highlight where shots were going, and these sights were also fitted with a heavy rubber eye pad too, improving the user's comfort and helping to prevent any unnecessary injuries when aiming, due to the vehicle's erratic movement. Now let's get those in-game stats up. As far as damage goes, the Type 97 pretty much shares the same power output as the few of the other LMGs, like the Lewis gun and the Bren. It dishes out a maximum of 25 damage per bullet up to the range of 10 meters, allowing it to kill in 4 shots in close quarters. But beyond here, that damage is going to start to decline, gradually becoming weaker over distance, as you'd naturally expect. The damage drop-off for the Type 97 isn't quite as sudden as the quicker shooting light machine guns, basically making each shot slightly more powerful over range than something like the FG42 for example. But once your bullets reach the distance of 100 meters, that damage is going to level out at the value of 13.2, meaning it'll generally take anywhere between 4 to 8 shots to bring your opponent down, just like the Lewis gun, Bren and KE7, with that 8-shot kill being reached at 75 meters. Because the Type 97 essentially has the same fire rate as the Lewis gun, with both weapons shooting at the speed of 540 RPM, this means that they're both going to share the exact same time to kill. Not exactly anything too impressive, I should probably say, as in CQC there's quite a lot of other guns in the game that can turn you into paste before you'll be able to return the favour. But it should generally be a bit more effective over those medium ranges, being able to kill slightly quicker here than other support LMGs like the FG42 and LS26. Along with the slower shooting Bren. There's no way to increase this fire rate or damage through specializations, so you're pretty much stuck with the time to kill the guns being given. But so long as you don't get too close to the action, it should generally allow the Type 97 to fit into a passive-aggressive playstyle fine enough. Moving over to the accuracy stats, the Type 97's got a slightly lower than average vertical kick value of 0.45. with an increase of minus 0.03, which overall isn't all that bad. This basically means that it's going to be able to keep a decent level of stability, and coupled with the fact that the gun's got a fairly steady rate of fire, you should be able to control it easier than some of the other LMGs when shooting in longer bursts. This will allow you to fire in slightly longer durations before that line of fire will start to drift over your target's head, which will probably help you out when you're taking on enemies over a medium to long range. And because the Type 97's got access to the recoil buffer, that vertical kick can be further reduced, helping you out here even more. Horizontal recoil is actually a little bit different to a lot of the other guns in the class, because it's got different left and right values. It's got a very low leftwards figure of 0.096, but a higher rightwards figure of 0.16, generally meaning that the Type 97 is likely to drift more so to the right as you open fire, These values are fairly reasonable, but that higher rightwards kick is likely to cause a few shots to stray off target, perhaps making it slightly less accurate than the likes of the Bren and Madsen machine guns in comparison. But once again, these recoil values can be lowered through Specializations, the ported barrel, putting it much more in line with the base Madsen and Bren. Bullet speed is set to the standard value of 740 meters per second, so it's basically got the same muzzle velocity as most of the other LMGs in the class. It's not exactly the highest, and it can't be increased anymore, unlike the Lewis and Bren guns with high velocity bullets. So I guess this could be a factor that might limit the Type 97's effectiveness over long distances, making it a tad more ideal for mid-range engagements instead. So anyway, moving over to reliability next. The Type 97 in real life held up to 20 bullets at a time, but for some reason DICE has decided to give you 5 extra shots in the game, as the gun can hold up to a total of 25 rounds per detachable box mag, giving it a somewhat reasonable ammo capacity compared to the others. Because the gun's not going to blaze through all its ammo at a rapid rate, it'll probably seem a tad easier to take on multiple enemies with a fully loaded mag, a bit easier than the likes of the FG42 and LS26 anyway. Though when you have burnt through that ammo, unfortunately for the Type 97, its reloads aren't exactly very forgiving. With a tactical reload time of 3.5 seconds, this is only a teeny bit faster than the Lewis gun, which isn't exactly anything to brag about, being one of the slowest tactical reloads of the LMGs. These might cause you a few problems along the way, especially if you like to reload often after every kill or two, and with those magazines only having a pretty average capacity, this could put you in a few awkward spots if you get surrounded or play too close to all the action. It's basically the same story for empty reloads too, which are also definitely on the lengthy side, taking 4.3 seconds to switch over after emptying your magazine. This is also only a little bit slower than the Lewis gun, which isn't really saying much considering how many shots that gun can hold. So generally speaking, the Type 97 is probably not going to seem like the most reliable gun in the world because of this. Thankfully, you can speed these times up a bit with the quick reload spec, which will definitely help you out a bit. But this still doesn't exactly give the gun particularly fast reloads compared to a lot of the others. So nevertheless, it's probably best to try and not get too carried away up on the front lines, taking these factors into account. So moving over to the Specializations next, you've got slings and swivels on the left side and quick aim on the right. I generally find quick aim to be the better option, especially with hipfire being less useful with the Type 97, so boosting the ADS speed is likely going to give you more of a competitive edge when you need to get down sights to take on someone quickly. Slings and swivels might help you out in between reloads if you get yourself surrounded by enemy players, by letting you switch over to your sidearm a bit quicker, but quick aim will probably seem noticeably more beneficial in gunfights, especially if you've got those mid-range optics equipped, which take a little bit longer to scope in. As for the middle part of the tree, you'll be able to find the recoil buffer and improved bipod on the left, lowering vertical kick and improving stability when that bipod's set up. And over on the right side, you'll be able to find the barrel bedding and custom stock specializations, both reducing spread when moving and standing still. Both sides are going to help to increase accuracy, and with the Type 97 already being fairly stable to a certain degree as it is, you might want to opt for the right side to help ensure that shots are going to land exactly where you want them to every time. Though with the Type 97 being a somewhat passive-aggressive weapon, that bipod's going to seem like a pretty useful addition, so boosting its effectiveness is definitely going to be worthwhile. Not to mention that having access to the recoil buffer will also allow you to fire longer streams of shots before the gun becomes harder to control, so this is going to allow you to sustain fire easier against targets in the distance, which is why I prefer to pick the options on the left side in the middle section. The last two specializations include quick reload, which you'll see on the left, and ported barrel on the right, lowering horizontal recoil. Both pretty good choices, though because the Type 97 is already quite accurate as it is, and because its reload times are pretty long, I like to cut these times down a bit, just to make it more reliable in between kills. So anyway, in conclusion, the Type 97 MG is a bit of a mixed bag, because it's not exactly a very dangerous weapon for rushing enemy positions and playing with offensive tactics, though at the same time it's not a very good weapon for suppressing fire for long durations due to its limited mag size and sluggish reloads. It's generally better suited for taking on targets over medium distances, as its damage model and fire rate limit the gun's effectiveness up close within shorter sight lines. The Type 97 is quite accurate and stable, boasting some pretty low recoil values overall, so this allows it to land more shots on targets further away, a bit easier than with some of the other weapons. But the gun's time to kill isn't particularly quick over long distances, taking up to 8 shots to kill with a fairly average sort of fire rate. Coupled with the fact that the Type 97 also has a mediocre bullet velocity too, makes the gun an okay but generally less effective long-range weapon compared to others. In a way, the Type 97 is kinda like an in-between weapon to the Lewis gun and Bren, being more accurate and less reliable than the Lewis gun, but being deadlier though less accurate than the Bren. This gives it passive-aggressive qualities, allowing it to be effective over most ranges, but not particularly amazing at any. A jack of all trades, master of none, you could probably say. It's not the most accurate LMG, it's certainly not the deadliest LMG, nor is it the most reliable either. And if you get too close to the chaos, those reloads are often going to give you a bit of a hard time. But its stats all generally go well for mid-ranged use, actually giving it some decent kill times here, which go hand in hand with that higher than average accuracy too. And providing you mix up your playstyle depending on the situation, and learn to take advantage of that bipod when defending, the Type 97 can actually be more effective than you'd probably think. So that's just about it for another one, folks. Hope the guide helped you out. Give me a like if it did, and subscribe and stay tuned for more weapon guides coming up in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in that next episode.